Hello, my name is Jesse Hayes, and I am doing an EBP project proposal. My project is over eliminating depression by increasing recognition rates in the primary care setting. In today's society, depression tends to take a back burner in comparison to the other psych disorders, but it is still a major effect for most people. In fact, depression affects almost 14.8 million Americans per year, and that's roughly about 6 to 7% of our U.S. population. Not only can depression make you depressed, it can also lead to other medical conditions. It has been linked to cancer, strokes, HIV/AIDS, Parkinson's, and other medical conditions. And most people who suffer from depression are 4 times more likely to develop a heart attack than those without the illness. A major point with depression is that it is nearly the cause of 20,000 suicides in the United States alone, which is a big factor for why this is a huge problem, and the fact that we need to not only decrease symptom time for depression and increase recognition rates, we also need to decrease the severity of the symptoms so that less people are led to taking their lives as a last resort for ending the disorder. The purpose of this project, as stated, is to increase the recognition rates of depression and decrease symptom time for these adults. The purpose of the project, as stated, is to increase depression recognition rates in the primary care setting while also decreasing symptom length and severity in adults age 18 plus. This may seem like a very generic audience or target population for this project. However, depression does not differentiate between gender, age, ethnicity, race. So the target population is quite large for this. This project is very significant to advanced nursing practice because it will allow advanced nurses like NPs and psych NPs to be able to more adequately and thoroughly assess depression as versus usual care. Some adults may not have severe enough symptoms for depression to warrant a actual psych consult, eval, or therapy consult, antidepressant therapy, and so this screening tool will help find those that are kind of slipping through the cracks or that are really good at hiding their symptoms when in fact they do need therapy, whether medication or therapy classes. A review of the literature has found that several studies have been done indicating that the patient health questionnaire is a sufficient tool for identifying depression in the primary care and outpatient setting. Yon et al. Did a study involving postpartum depression amongst new mothers to evaluate if there was a new way to possibly decrease postpartum depression prevalence and also decreasing that symptom time for the depression. They did find that with the PHQ-9 and with an additional tool to help identify satisfaction results for the clientele, that they did find that the PHQ-9 was acceptable and did prove its purpose by identifying postpartum depression when usual care would not have diagnosed those participants with major depressive disorder. Another study, this one by Suzuki and group, was done to test the effectiveness of the PHQ-9 in an outpatient setting in Japan. They found that the PHQ-9, along with another screen tool called the Mini, which helps also diagnose major depressive disorder, that those two together combined made a very solid diagnosing tool for depression, although they had to augment the cutoff value for the PHQ-9 in order to make it effective for Japan. However, that is one of the limitations of that study, was that it was targeted solely for Japan. However, it has been speculated that the results of that study could be used globally. The last study that was included in the review was Janssen et al. They utilized the PHQ-9 in hopes of diagnosing depression amongst type 2 diabetics, or to see what tool would be the best for that. The PHQ-9 did identify depressive symptoms in both type 2 diabetics and those without diabetes, and it was proven that it was a very useful tool for doing this. That study did have a large sample size and utilized state-of-the-art to assess both depression and diabetes measures. That study also concluded that the PHQ-9 could consistently be used in primary care, especially with the diabetic clientele, which in the United States is a very large population. So my proposed plan is to implement the 9-item patient health questionnaire as a routine part of checkups and appointments with primary care providers. The reason I chose the 9-item patient health questionnaire is that it is a relatively easy and quick way to assess the patient's mental status at that time. The questionnaire is relatively quick and it only has 9 questions on it. Each item is scored on a 0 to 3 point scale, and once the scores are tallied, there are 4 different categories the patient or participant could be placed in. And those range from minor to no depression noted, or to major depressive disorder, severe depression. Our total plan for this intervention is to secure a location for a primary care setting to be able to administer the patient health questionnaire to roughly about 500 people in order to fully assess the effectiveness of this screening tool in a rural/local setting. The results of that questionnaire will be pitted against usual care to warrant if this tool was indeed effective in identifying depressive disorder when usual care was not. Evaluation of the intervention plan will be conducted at the next annual checkup or appointment with a primary care provider for that participant in order to administer another patient health questionnaire or to inquire about their mental health status to see if their depressive symptoms have waned or entirely disappeared, or if they've gotten worse. Thank you for joining me for my presentation. Have a nice day.